Hi, I'm Emyle Watkins, and this is the WBFO Disabilities Beat. This week on the Disabilities Beat, we're highlighting a local organization aiming to change how we think about disability inclusion and advocacy. I speak with Outside the Box associates about how they use a podcast, hiking trips, presentations, and other forms of inclusive community engagement to challenge perceptions of disability. This interview has been edited for length and clarity. To kick things off, I'd love to have each of you introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Alex Shesko. I am a life coach and psychic. Spiritual empowerment coach is what I like to go by.
I am Mike Rogers. I am a professional. I consider myself a professional self-advocate, and I am a founder of Outside the Box Associates.
I am Lee Allen Hardley. I run my own radio station online called LA Heartability Radio on Live 365.
I'm Gwen Squire, and I am a part-time advocate support professional for People Inc. But I'm also a founder like Mike and Alex with Outside the Box.
Mike, how did the idea of Outside the Box Associates come about?
Well, it was interesting because at the time, a lot of people were looking for different ways to express themselves. And we were, Gwen and I had worked for the Self-Advocacy Association. We had an America Project. And the director of that at the time in this area suggested that maybe Gwen and I do our own thing, right? So at the time, we had a partner who has since retired. Thought about this, that we could be a little bit more outside the box, more innovative than just your typical awareness presentations, which we think are great. A lot of us have done them for a living. We think that's great, but I think going beyond and focusing on inclusion is something we wanted to do. So we started the process. We had some hiccups, and then we started up again, and we brought in Alex and Lee, and here we are.
I read on your website that, quote, "is our dream one day that we will be seen exactly as we see ourselves, human beings living liberated lives empowered by our disabilities." Alex, I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about what you're working on and hope to achieve and how you're taking things outside the box.
Yeah, we're all about the mindset as well as what we do. I mean, we have all sorts of activities we've done. We've supported people with disabilities in presenting. We've hosted events where we've had people present about what they're passionate about. And that's been really cool. But ultimately, it's about empowering not only people with disabilities to recognize that their disability is empowering and it is powerful, and to empower people in general about people with disabilities and to educate in that way. We're also working on various goals to focus on employment and focus on working with the community at large to promote the idea that people with disabilities have a lot of capabilities. They just need to be given the chance to show what those are. And then also to empower people with disabilities themselves to recognize that they are powerful beings and they can accomplish whatever they want. They may not do it in the same ways as other people, but they can still do it. So that's a big part of that.
To put it another way, and because I love the way he was talking about all those stakeholders, right? Mm. You have the community, you have people with disabilities, you support each other in a lot of ways. It's kind of like a stew, but I think a lot of times when we talk about disability, we only look at it from the disability lens. It's like, okay, what can we do as people with disabilities? But at Outside the Box Associates, we want all stakeholders, able-bodied people all different kind of disabilities to come together, because that's really how you live. You don't live in a box, or you shouldn't. So we really want to focus on the fact that we're all living in this world together and we got to all come together.
Gwen, I saw that your group also plans accessible hikes. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about why that's important.
We went on a hike last year, was it? At a park. I forget the name of the park, I'm sorry. Mike and Alex might remember. But anyway, it was really cool.
Well, and it seems like a lot of these hiking groups, they're geared towards specific groups of people.
Right.
And the interesting thing is like you're planning accessible hikes, but like the mission of your company,
Yes.
it's expanding out so everyone can be a part of it.
That's what, exactly. We want everyone to feel included and, to be able to go on those hikes. Like I said, I've never really been on a real hike like that before. And it was just awesome.
Is creating that space intentional so people with disabilities aren't just included, but so people without disabilities are engaging in a space that isn't so much like a class or like a, here's how to include people with disabilities.
Right. I would like to have everybody included, not just people with disabilities. We all would. I remember in school, I would get stuff together, different events and stuff to include both people, because I don't want to just include people with disabilities and shut out people without. I mean, we don't want to be shut out. So one of our goals, as I believe, is just to include everybody and have everybody just enjoy themselves and get to know us and get to know that people with disabilities and without people, disabilities are just people.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And it always doesn't have to be a structured way.
I know that you also have a podcast. Lee, I'm wondering what people can expect when they listen to your podcast.
Anything.
Yeah, we come up with topics that we think are relevant and then just talk about them. And then eventually we're going to have guests that know about a topic, but we want the podcast to be free flowing. We don't want it to be just stuck on one subject. If somebody has a differing idea, we can do that.
Yeah, it's not just about education. It's more about, hey, we're people too. And this is what we talk about. And these are the issues we talk about.
And I know that a lot of times organizations that are meant to serve people with disabilities like us aren't always led by people with disabilities, but your organization is fully led and run by people with disabilities. I'm wondering, are there certain barriers to starting an organization or a company if you do have a disability?
I wouldn't say that there are necessarily barriers, but I think people aren't used to that. I remember, because right now we have a DBA, and I remember that a lot of people were like, so you want to start your own thing? And they're like, who's helping you? And I'm like, we're doing it together, because people always get this idea that you have to be helped by the able-bodied world. There's got to be a reason why you're able to do something. And, if you have the drive, you can do it. That's the simple thing we want to tell people is, if you want something, you can make that happen. And yes, if you need help, get the help.
You can listen to the Disabilities Beat segment on demand. View a transcript and plain language description for every episode on our website at WBFO.org. I'm Emyle Watkins. Thanks for listening.